let's see how this works out. They could block. We don't even have to spend the mana. That's great. Now, this is controversial. Send him a heart. Hit him with the evens. If he sacks now, we hit him with the odds. But they don't get to choose, like they don't know what we choose, so they actually have to do all of this right now. And that's actually kind of messed up that they don't know whether I choose odd or even until the immediate, really, when it hits. So they'll have no option, and we're going even here, right? It just hits, and they can't do with the woe, which is a bummer. So now Ashiok can plus, right? And the Serpent can come back into play by exiling their Uro. Is that the new tech? Is exiling Uros with the Serpent? Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for taking the time to watch Hello Good Game. Today we're playing Dimir Control, brought to us by Agent Avenger, who reached Mythic top 1500 with it. He said the climb to Mythic this season with Dimir Control was very easy, and I have to admit, after playing a few matches, you know, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This deck is a boss. I think it's a great time right now to be transitioning from the early set jank / aggro into now what can be considered the mid to early phase still of the set. I know it's only been out a week, but there's only so much time that you can get away with that kind of shenanigans for jank, right? And then people do start to lock down the meta, and this feels great. Typically, the meta felt very out of control. It was like, I cannot do anything here unless I'm playing some of these messed up decks as well. This tones it down. This does such a good job of just keeping everything under control, dampering the aggro, you know, making it so the combo decks can't pop off. And then, you know, when you do get into those mirror matches as well, you're able to hold your own, especially since we're playing best of 3 today, incorporating the sideboard, of course. So we're going to break down the deck list in its entirety, talking about each individual card, their strengths, their weaknesses, why they were probably chosen to be included within the deck. Then we're going to talk about the strategies, the synergies, you know, your overall game plan, and then the steps you're going to want to take to get to the goal of yours there. And then we'll watch some gameplay footage breaking down all of the play lines and interactions that we can come across within the meta. It's great to know how your deck operates, but it's even better to know how it's going to engage with the rest of the environment that you encounter. So after that, we do have our wrap-up thoughts talking about the deck. You know, was it good? Was it bad? Did it perform to our expectations? You know, did we just play it badly? Is it a bad deck and did we play it greatly? It's just like random general shenanigans at the end for an overview and channel plans and all that. So if you do find any value within this video, go ahead, give me a thumbs up, share the channel out to a friend. And you know, if you want to support the channel financially, that's amazing. You can do so Twitch, Patreon, YouTube, and brand new, we have an Amazon affiliate link. So you guys can do all of your Amazon shopping through my link. And you know, it's a great free way to support me. Every dollar counts. Dimir Control, let's get right into it. This starts out with 4 copies of Bloodchief's Thirst. If you've been watching my channel for the last week, you've heard me literally scream every time this gets played against me. I feel like people are playing 4 of them right off the top of their deck always. This is such an amazing card within the new set, right? Zendikar Rising. It's a 1/1 sorcery speed, which is the only downfall here. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 2 or less. If the spell was kicked, instead destroy target creature or planeswalker in general. So for 4, you can destroy anything, and for 1, you can destroy itsy bitsies. So this is absolutely amazing in my opinion. This basically is a shock that can kill anything if you pay 4. I would love my shocks to have subtext that was just like, oh, we'll pay 4 and actually destroy anything you want, right? So Bloodchief's Thirst is an amazing card. You're going to see this in a lot of control decks coming up. 2 copies of Cling to Dust at instant speed. Exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, you gain 3 life. Otherwise, you draw a card. Escape for 4 plus exiling 5 other cards from our graveyard. So There's only 2 copies here because it has replayability. We don't need to keep, finding new copies of it. We can play it once and then replay it from our graveyard. It's amazing because it takes care of Urls, it takes care of Woe Striders, anything particularly dangerous in your opponent's graveyard. That's great. It can deal with that. And, it can either be gaining you life or it can be drawing you cards as well, depending on what the situation requires. We have a single copy of Soul Guide Lantern. It's not enough to rely on your Cling to Dust. You do want a little bit of extra, especially in your first matchup. So this is why this has been included, I assume. When it enters the battlefield, exile a card from a graveyard, and then we can tap it to sacrifice it, exiling an opponent's graveyard, and we can pay 1, tapping it, sacrificing it to draw a card. So again, worst case scenario, you paid 2 to draw a card. It's not that bad. 2 copies of Heartless Act instant speed. Now this is our first 2-drop. We get to choose one, either destroying target creature with no counters on it or removing up to 3 counters from a target creature, which is really quite nice. We have a single copy here of Feed the Swarm at sorcery speed, so it feels a little weird, but the time comes when you want cheap removal, and not everything kills everything. For example, an Eliminate is 3 or less, and what if it's a Questing Beast? Well, then we have Heartless Act, but what if it's an Elder Gargaroth? How are we going to kill that? Well, Feed the Swarm can potentially do that for us. Destroy target creature or enchantment and opponent controls. You lose life equal to that permanent's converted mana cost. It's not a great scenario, but it's better than not. You know what I mean? We have a single copy of Negate instant speed, counter target non-creature spell. 3 copies of Essence Scatter, counter target creature spell. The opposite of Negate. They both cost 2, which is really, really nice, having them so cheap. 3 copies of Confounding Conundrum. Now this kind of shuts down the landfall a little bit, and when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. So at the very minimum, it replaces itself, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player had another land enter the battlefield under their control this turn, they return a land they control to its owner's hand. So it's a great way to just keep them semi-tame, and this is a stackable ability, which is quite cool. So if they, play 2 lands, they have to bounce 2 lands, which is really nice, not just one of them. We have 3 copies of Silindi Visions and Silindi Isle. This is the MDFC or module-faced card or land, whatever you want to refer to it as. They all enter the battlefield tapped. This one adds obviously a blue mana source, and on the opposing side is an instant speed for 3. Looking at the top 6 cards of our library, you get to reveal an instant or sorcery card from among them, put them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, instant speed, look at the top 6, that's pretty good for 3, in my opinion, especially since it's got a land on the opposing side. 4 copies of Neutralize, our counter spell for 3. We get to counter any kind of spell, and it has cycling for 2 if you don't need it. Into our 4 drops, Hagra's Mauling. Now this is my least favorite MDFC or module-faced card / land. Entering the battlefield tapped, adding Swamp, and then at instant speed for 4, destroy target creature. It costs 1 less to cast if an opponent controls no basics. I get it. It's an expensive murder that could be just a murder. Obviously, they're going to control basics. That's generally how the game's played, with a few of them at least. So worst case, it's a destroy for 4. I get that it's good and a lot better in the control decks that don't need the early game removal. They've got it elsewhere, so it does fit in here quite nicely. And tying it all together, of course, is the Extinction Event. Sorcery speed times 2 here. Choose odd or even, then exile each creature card with converted mana cost of the chosen value. 2 copies of Eat to Extinction, instant speed, exiling target creature or planeswalker, and then we get to look at the top card of our library and either keep it or put it into our graveyard, which is quite nice. 2 copies of Ashiok's Erasure, an enchantment with flash, and when it enters the battlefield, exile target spell. Your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card, and when Ashiok's Erasure leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to its owner's hand. 2 copies of Ashiok Nightmare's Muse, a legendary planeswalker combining with 5 loyalty +1, put a 2/3 black and blue nightmare creature token with whenever this creature attacks or blocks. Each opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library onto the battlefield, and then -3. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, then that player exiles a card from their graveyard, from their hand. Woof. And -7, you may cast up to 3 spells from among face-up cards your opponents own from the exile without paying their mana cost, which is actually pretty groovy. And of course, we have 2 copies of Shark Typhoon for 6. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is that spell's converted mana cost, cycling for 2 + X. And whenever you cycle Shark Typhoon, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, which is great. And we have a single copy of Lochmere Serpent, 7/7 with flash. We can sacrifice an island. also paying 1. So obviously we pay 1 blue or with our tap our island, and then we sacrifice that island. So it can't be blocked this turn. We can do the same with a swamp, gaining 1 life and drawing a card. And we can pay 1 island and 1 swamp, or a blue and a black, to exile 5 target cards from an opponent's graveyard, returning the serpent from our graveyard to the hand. Only time we could cast a sorcery, which is pretty deadly. We could take care of arrows and everything just by grabbing our own creature back. We have 2 copies of Seagate Restoration. This is the rare MDFC or Bolt land, also known as. It comes into the battlefield tapped unless you pay 3 life, aka the Bolt. And on the opposing side is the Restoration for 7. Sorcery speed, drawing cards equal to the number of cards in your hand, plus 1. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game, which is pretty cool, right? So if you cast 1, you can cast 2, and that's going to be really out of control. So those are the spells. We do have 4 Field of Ruins, a single Fabled Passage, 4 Temple of Deceits, 4 Clear Water Pathways / Murk Water Pathways, 2 islands, sorry, swamps, 1 Castle Locthwain, 3 islands, and 2 Castle Mantresses. My brain's going numb. We have a sideboard here, 2 copies of Duress, sorcery speed for 1. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. 2 additional copies of Negate, 2 copies of Feed the Swarm. We have these main board. 2 copies of Mystical Dispute, instant speed for 3, costing 2 less to cast if it targets a blue spell, countering spell unless its controller pays 3. 1 Necromantia, sorcery speed for 3, choose card name other than basic land card name. Search opponent's graveyard, hand, library for any number of cards with that card name, exile them. That player shuffles their library, then creates a 2/2 black zombie for each creature token from their hand that you exiled this way. 2 copies of Pestilent Haze, sorcery speed for 3, choose 1. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn, or remove 2 loyalty counters from each planeswalker. 2 copies of Soul Shatter, my favorite card. I don't know why we don't have more copies of this, especially in the main board, but hey, that's fine. Instant speed for 3. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the highest converted mana cost among creatures and planeswalkers they control. 1 copy of Witch's Vengeance. Creatures of the type you choose get -3/-3 until end of turn. And 1 Kvartek the Spiteful, a 3/2 for 4, and other creatures get -1/-1. So that is the deck list. That's the sideboard. Let's talk about these strategies, synergies, and then we'll take a look at the sideboard guide for you guys. So, you know, obviously control decks are harder to play, in my opinion. They take a more in-depth knowledge of the meta and the environment that you're going to be coming in contact with, because you have to be proactively sorting threats and dealing with them, you know, almost on a priority before you have the cards to deal with them, right? So that's the first thing we should probably take a look at, is prioritizing your removal. You remove creatures and you remove planeswalkers in this deck. You know, there's no artifact or enchantment destruction. We do need to counterspell those. So that's the first thing. You make sure that you can deal with everything with what you have. So just by that example of us not having artifact destruction or enchantment destruction, we now know that if any artifacts or enchantments that are really good enter the battlefield, we have to counter those. That is our only choice, is to counter artifacts and enchantments. So we prioritize, obviously, our negate and our neutralizes on artifacts and enchantments. We know, as far as planeswalkers go, we can actually deal with planeswalkers a few different ways. We have, you know, Bloodchief's Thirst. We can pay 4 to destroy a planeswalker, so we don't need to be countering it with our negate. We can prioritize that negate to, you know, like the artifacts and enchantments or sorceries or instances, like we talked about. Keeping the Bloodchief's Thirst for the planeswalkers, Eat to Extinction for the planeswalkers, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You know, we do have lots of creature removal, so you don't really need to worry about the creature removal, but when you are thinking about it, think about your Extinction Event. How many creatures do they have on the field? How many of them are odd? How many of them are even? Prioritize one of them. Use all of your single target removal on either odd or even, so then your Extinction Event can clean up everything else, right? So, you know, choose odd and hit everything with your removal, like Heartless Act, like Feed the Swarm, like the Mauling, like whatever. Use it all on odd, and then Extinction Event for even, or vice versa, right? So we're prioritizing all of our cards so they make sure to be used appropriately. That's the biggest problem people have while playing Control, is using different cards in the wrong context, even though they work. But it's not about that. It's about making sure everything works all the time. So now that you guys know a little bit about prioritizing your cards, let's talk about the game plan, the overall strategy. it is to lock your opponent out. It's a control deck. The easiest way to win is to just basically get 2-for-1s until their hand's empty, right? Hopefully they don't have a draw engine or some sort of huge value engine to keep replenishing that, and we can just, you know, go 2-for-1s and just keep getting more value than they do, and they're going to be top decking, at which point we can smash home. Smashing home is quite hard. There's not much to do it with. Literally the only things we have to punch our opponent with are Ashiok's +1 ability. You know, we get a 2/3, it can hit. That's great. We also get sharks. You know, we only have 2 copies of Shark Typhoon, so to cycle it is fine, but if your opponent has removal, they're going to kill those sharks and it's going to be hard for you to finish the game. So once they're top decking, you're probably safe to play the Typhoon just as the enchantment, and then all of your other spells will make sharks, and that's how you win the game. If not, hopefully you cycle it, you get a big shark, it doesn't get removed, and you win the game that way, because, you know, it's not that hard for your opponent to make it unwinnable for you. Literally all they have to do is deal with your Ashiok, deal with your Shark Typhoon, deal with your Serpent, and that's it. And that does bring me to the final and maybe some of the most consistent win cons within the deck, which is the Serpent. You know, you can bring it back from the graveyard in play. It can be unblocked. It can draw you cards. So the Serpent is our main go-to for the kill. But of course, we also do have the Shark Typhoon Sharks and the Ashiok's +2/3 tokens that can get the job done. So no, your main game plan is to, you know, snuff out your opponent's fire and then play those few kill commands late game to win. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, especially with this deck. So that's literally it. As far as synergies go, you know, the Serpent is great. You may have to destroy your own Serpent before you hit your Extinction Event because you have so few kill commands. Obviously, you don't want to exile your only win con. So if you do have to hit even with your event, you may need to use your Heartless Act or something to kill your Serpent. Then you exile, and then you can just bring your Serpent back, right? So that's a potential play that you might have to make. Again, prioritizing your opponent's Uros and stuff, getting those out of the graveyard. It just, like, it's hard to really break down the individual play lines other than telling you guys priorities, like trying to really teach you about which spell needs to be prioritized upon, you know, which spell that your opponent's playing. Confounding Conundrum is really great to get out of the start. There's so much landfall, there's so many Fable passages. It'll just help disrupt your opponent in general, and it just is a draw 1 for 2, so it's not that bad. Get that out there, and then just like try to counter and smash your opponent. You can do the Seagate to draw a bunch of cards. There's a chance you're going to draw an Extinction Event to wipe the field. So you know, I wish I had more to say about this. Try not to play your Shark Typhoon as an enchantment if your opponent has enchantment removal, like Gem Razor. Then just cycle it and try to hit them with flying. Obviously, you can't beat everything, but you can beat a lot of things with this deck. So this is Dimir Control. Let me know what you think of it. The sideboard guide, again, it's so early on into the meta to break down a specific sideboard guide, and that would take hours as well, going through each individual matchup. Take out what's bad, put in what was good. If they didn't have any creatures to counter, get rid of things like your Ascent Scatter. That's a dead card if there's no creatures to counter, for example, right? And then maybe you want something like a Duress. Maybe you want more negates. So it really just comes down to what didn't work in your deck, and then what would work in my sideboard better than what I took out, which, you know, if things didn't work at all, basically anything from your sideboard should work. I shouldn't say anything, but you guys are smart. You're going to be able to distinguish, obviously, between creatures and non-creatures. That's basically how most sideboarding goes, at least for me. And then you balance that, obviously, with your 2 forms of removal. So that's it. That's, you know, my lame sideboard guide. I hope you guys enjoyed and at least learned a little bit. If you do find any value within the video, give me a thumbs up, share the channel to a friend, and consider supporting me through Twitch, Patreon, YouTube, and the newly found Amazon affiliate link. I get like 3% of all purchases, so do your Christmas shopping on there, right? Help your boy out. Thanks for your time and attention, as always, to those of you just spending your time here with me, always. I appreciate it, and enjoy today's gameplay footage. Don't forget to watch to the end so you don't miss out on our final thoughts. 3 land. The Vantress comes in tapped. These are land as well. We have the Extinction Event, which is actually kind of like... Oh no, it's a mirror match. This is not good. Control on control. Hopefully it's rogues. right? Uh-oh. Uh-huh. Okay. They're throwing us for a whirl. A 1/1 elemental that adds mana. Just a classic mana dummy. We have no play for 2. All of these lands come in tapped. Do we want that expensive murder? Probably not, considering they already control a basic land. So let's just let them chill out. Let's just take this while there's not anything to deal with it, correct? Or should we wait, do it instant speed, and not put any permanents out? I think that works as well. Let's just start laying in some of these tapped lands, I guess. We're not playing anything for 3. I'm being told that swagger wins games, so we're ready. We're ready to swag out, homie. Let's get rid of the Bane of Monsters. Got into a Woe Strider. Even, odd, even. Unpleasant to say the least. Let's just try to pull out some more cards from the library before our event. Okay, so this makes us want to do even, or sorry, odd. To the bottom, that's good. Yikes. We're sitting on 4, we go to 5. Let's just push Ashiok out. If there's no counterspell, we're golden. They need removal as well. Counterspell or removal, no counterspell. And it appears to be no removal. We have the blocker for the woe. They could deal 1 damage, that's fine. Uh-oh. Spaghetti-O. So, taking 4 damage on Ashiok, not good. Stays alive, though. Okay, just 3, better yet. Oof. Into Gravebreaker. Wow. Search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, and then shuffle your library. Uro goes into the grave. Interesting. We have 5. We can go to 6, which is our Serpent with Flash. I think that's our best bet. Let's just push up here. Ending our turn. Playing a Seagate, I guess, next. Trying to draw as many cards out of their hands as we can. More removal. Let's throw some flavor text in there. We will see the kill here. As long as there's no counterspell. There could be. By golly, that would be terrifying. No way. Does she there? We have to block the Lima, even though they'll just sack it with the Woe Strider, just to keep Ashiok alive. Right? The +1 ability to take it back to 2 is worth it. also we're avoiding their life gain there. Three cards in hand, they draw to 4. Let's take our plus ability. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's play 7 and Seagate. Drawing 3 cards. 7, not great, but in this situation it's not bad. And we have 2 blockers. Let's hold off. There could be removal, but I mean, sometimes that happens. And, you know, just getting these big draws that we can do on top of each other now, I think are really worth it. Oh no. We do have an exile, and I guess we're back to exiling evens now. We are also even though, so that's kind of weird. Play the land. We can be unblockable, which is what we should do, right? We almost need to kill our own creature so we can replay it from the grave. Let's see how this works out. They could block. We don't even have to spend the mana. That's great. Now, this is controversial. Send him a heart. Hit him with the evens. If he sacks now, we hit him with the odds. But they don't get to choose, like they don't know what we choose, so they actually have to do all of this right now. And that's actually kind of messed up, that they don't know whether I choose odd or even until the immediate, really, when it hits. So they'll have no option, and we're going even here, right? It just hits, and they can't do with the woe, which is a bummer. So now Ashiok can plus, right? And the Serpent can come back into play by exiling their Uro. Is that the new tech? Is exiling Uros with the Serpent? Interesting, to say the least. They could remove our token and kill Ashiok. At which point I think we just... no, we don't even need to draw, right? We've got enough to get the job done. And we keep our Serpent too, right? So killing our own creature, the exiling, and then using our own creature to get rid of their Uro. And they do have the removal. Groovy. Yep. Your go, my friend. Oh, interesting. Woe Strider can't attack, which allows us just to snag the worm. Woe Strider can eat it, I guess. We're allowed to take it. That can go to the graveyard. It's a draw effect, but still not too into it. And we can take a little gander into our library further and just, I guess, replace itself. We could take that counter creature, but take the Scry. Neutralize is actually really good at this point because they're out of creatures. And we pass our turn. Land, that's game. They know they can't attack. we play our Serpent. And then we can just smash in unblockable, right? By sacrificing our islands. So that's game one. Into the sideboard. Woofskis. We've seen a blend of creatures, non-creatures, graveyard shenanigans. Yeah, we've seen a lot of stuff there. So I like the events. I think that's really good. I think the haze is really good as well. They had, you know, the tokens and the Woe Striders. We wouldn't get this. It would get the Mana Dork, though. Doesn't really get some of the more annoying things, I guess. You could just go right after Uro. We have the Lantern main deck. The Conundrums can go, as far as I'm concerned. I think the Duress could be quite nice off the start, but again, it looks like there's a lot of creatures there. Looks like there is a lot of creatures there. So let's take some more creature removal, and let's toss out the negate, even though it does come into use a little bit. I think we're good without it. And you know, I think the Vengeance can go as well. Takes us to 60, 45 left on the clock. So let's get after it. Match number 2. They go. All right, opponent gets to go first. Hopefully they're a doll. They let us go first, right? Well, it's not good. We mulligan and look for the wipe. We'll just rely on the scries to be good, I guess. Scrying, then field for Essence Scatter. I don't know. It's weird. Or we do double scry. Skip Essence Scatter and do Neutralize. They play slow, that's good. Anti-Uro, probably. We have nothing to deal with Uro yet, so we should keep that. Scrying, that's fine. To the top, not good. So let's hold up the counter. And this costs 2 plus a tap. Cycling here for 0. We still just hold up our scatter. That's the 5th land, which we don't need yet. Let's toss it. Passing our turn. All right, 1 Uro coming up. Countered. We could have a rage quit here. This is gonna get salty. They can't cast it from their graveyard yet, so we don't have to cling it. And we go to 4, hold up our erasure. Next, and turn, if they don't do anything, we can Field of Ruin their Triumph. Okay, this is the new Nissa, and we might just straight up neutralize that. I think that's going to be easiest. Yeah. We kind of want to use Ashiok's Erasure on a non-legendary, I think. No way. Nissa sees play. Oh, wow.
The Royal protects Zendikar and its people.
We're gonna have to kick this.
You cannot quell the Royal.
Get that arrow out of there. Just have to show our rage, gain the life that they're about to deal damage with here. Let's kick it. Kick it old school, baby. And what are these two cards? Oh no! That's one of them. Not good. Kicking this as well. Jeez Louise. Passing our turn. Land. Okay. Now we're talking. Okay. This is good. It's a little weird. But I guess at the end of the day, that's what we do. Gotta do the do. One, two, three, four, five, six. Let's shark out. As long as there's... Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Passing our turn. We have creature and draw. Or I guess like counter and draw, I should say. Making a 3/3 shark. Please and thank you. Neutralize in hand. That takes care of next turn. Oh my gosh. Oh no. What have we done? Back-to-back wins. Dimir control. Hit for 3, down to 17. We have 2 counters, 3 counters really. Yikes. They gave us a scare for a little bit. Right? We seen that mystical dispute and we were worried. They cycle for their own shark. Interesting. We can't counter a cycle. Ain't nothing we can do about that. So they definitely have a defender. Or they can race us. But we've got a Typhoon in play, so racing's not great. Really? By countering it, we not only keep our shark, but we create another shark, right? So that's quite nice. They expected that. They're like, well, we'll pull the counter and then we'll play our nice big spell. Not only will we keep our shark, we will create yet another shark. They're multiplying. More removal? Okay, he bounces one. That's fine. We still have 2 sharks. And we're gonna have more, right? Yep. Oof. Oof. Oof, skis. 1/1 shark, please. That's a baby shark. I've never seen a 1/1 shark. I didn't know they existed. Hitting for 6. They don't have enough mana. Ending the turn. I would still like to use Field of Ruin, but we'll probably Castle if we don't have to counter, in all honesty. And we do. 2/2 Shark. Coming at you. So you see how powerful Shark Typhoon is if, you know, your opponent can't deal with it and you can survive for a couple turns after? It gets out of control. We can Field of Ruin here, though. Take a trial. We have 6, 8, 9 damage in Sharks. One, two, three, four, five, 6. This would be our 7th. Okay. Can't block. Only flyers, I guess I can't block all of our guys. Takes out a 3/3. Sure. Let's take out Elwow Strider. Come on. Where are you? Come here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Snag that, please. 1/1 baby shark. Ending our turn. We can Field of Ruin the other trial. This is game though. Back-to-back wins. Yeehaw! All right, that was a good match. We went back-to-back. Dimir control, winning some of that ranked back that we lost yesterday, trying to play with that mono red deck. Oof. We have to hit Mythic. We're gonna do it. We'll probably play a lot of control, a lot of mono green, and yeah, the next few days are gonna get weird. We're gonna have some Road to Mythic videos for you guys, which will be a lot of fun. And yeah, just really enjoying ourselves. I mentioned supporting the channel financially, Twitch, Patreon, YouTube, and the new Amazon link. I think yesterday was the first day that we made minimum wage, which is absolutely deadly. You know, I am just playing Magic on my computer. Admittedly, we do work like 12-hour days for the last 2 years without a day off. So that's a thing. But like most good things, they require hard work, right? So I really appreciate everybody who's been helping support me. And, you know, as the set dies off, I am going to need even more support. If any of you have your Twitch Primes or you're doing any shopping, definitely hit me up. That's a very free way to do it. And then if you're a baller, you know, hit me up on YouTube or Patreon, even Twitch, right? So that would be awesome. Obviously, as the set fades, the views go down just in general. And yeah, we're going to mitigate it, and our channel's still growing, so no harm, no foul. I'm really excited to get into a new place so we can really up the production rate and the quality of all of our stuff. So yeah, you could be a part of that. We're going to try to get some custom merch out for you guys for the supporters who are in on it early. And yeah, with all that being said, you guys, thanks for taking the time to watch a little bit of Hello Good Game. Go enjoy another video of mine, and we will see you soon for some more Magic Gathering Arena content. Take care.